Hey, I'm Scotty T
God.
from Your Comedy Minute. I have a fantastic comedian, improv specialist, Pete Grella's with me today. Pete, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. A little tired, but not too bad.
Yeah,
We
I
just
guess
had
we should
our
start right away. You're 12
yeah.
hours. You're in Hong Kong, which means it's midnight.
I'm in the future.
I
What do you want to know?
want to go
You
back to
got
the
12 hour window.
lottery number for
12,
tonight.
12-hour window. All right, 3, 17.
All right, Pete. You're in Hong Kong. We gave that away. You do shows in
Yeah,
Bangkok, right? You do shows in Bangkok too?
Bangkok. Yeah, Bangkok,
Okay.
all around Asia, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I know this, but and I'm going to ask some questions. I know the answer, but for people that don't know you, you weren't born and raised in Hong Kong.
I was not. I've been
Okay.
here for 18 years now, so it's been a while.
You know, you
But
were, what was it, New York, Connecticut, something like that?
yeah, I was born in South Carolina, lived there for 3 years, then raised in Connecticut, then
Okay.
moved to New York. My family's from New York, and then I moved here 18 years ago from New York.
18 years ago. And do you mind me asking, was there a reason why you decided to go to Hong Kong?
Well, I was working. I wasn't doing comedy. I was doing
Okay.
something called Peel Toys, Tombstones. They're these little like loose side crystal things that, like
All
when
right.
bankers finance a project, they all have a big dinner afterwards to celebrate how they just got richer. And so this rich guy gives this rich guy these useless little toys, but it was a niche little thing. Our company did that. I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
We had a lot of clients in Asia. They said, "Hey, we're going to open an office. It's either going to be Tokyo or Hong Kong. You interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." And it was supposed to be just for 1 year.
Yeah. And
And
18 years later, there we are.
yeah, I mean, after a few months, they decided they weren't really interested in having us out there anymore. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck this. I like it here. I'm going to find my own job."
All right. I know the answer to this, but when did you start doing comedy?
Started doing comedy in 2009. So
Yeah.
yeah, 15
Because
years now.
for people that don't know, and I'm going to include the links, you have a YouTube channel, and I
Uh-huh.
saw you have your first, I guess, first stand up bit on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My very, very first one was recorded, but it was only audio. I was just throwing up
Okay.
a spur of the moment thing at the comedy club, so I didn't
Okay.
have a chance to properly record it. But yeah, yeah,
So that would mean then, again, I'm no rocket scientist, but you started doing comedy in Hong Kong.
yeah, yeah. I've only performed in U.S. twice.
Yeah, I saw
So,
one was a Gotham comedy back up.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, and then like a day or so after that, I was at the East Village Comedy Club, and
Okay.
that's the only two times I've performed in U.S. Everything else has been in Hong Kong and around Asia.
Okay. And when you started doing comedy 14 years ago, was there a catalyst, Pete? Was there something that said, I want to try doing comedy?
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, you mentioned I used to live in New York City. I used to go to comedy a lot.
All right.
Actually, even back when I was still in Connecticut at university, I would book comedians. I was the social director for our school,
Okay.
and so I've always had an interest in it, but I just never did anything about it. I mean, when I first booked them, like back in, I was still early, like I was 21, 22.
Okay.
And so one guy said to me, "Hey, you're a pretty funny guy. Do you want to do comedy?" I said, "Maybe." He goes, "All right, tell you what, we'll get together, we'll do some writing, and we'll get you like 45 minutes of material so we can cut that down to 3 minutes." And I'm like, "That's a lot of work." So no.
45
It's,
down to 3 minutes.
yeah,
Holy
it's
hell.
something ridiculous. I'm like, And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when I moved here, I met, his name is Jamie Gong. He's also from New York. He opened up a comedy club here. And I met him when he first opened it. He mentioned about having a workshop for comedy. I went and watched it and didn't do it yet. But then when he offered improv classes, I took improv classes because I
Okay.
was doing sales and marketing and
Right.
figured it'd be a good skill to have.
Yeah. Were there comedians that inspired you when you were younger or whatever that you really liked? And then the follow-up
Uh-huh.
question, are there comedians now that you really like?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, that was like back, especially in the '80s, and that was like the big boom. I mean, basically, HBO had something on all the time, and it's just all of us were just quoting. Eddie Murphy had like cassette tapes of
Murphy.
his
Yeah,
albums, and we would just all get yeah, and just memorize it. And so we were just obsessed with comedy back then.
Pete.
So
Pete. I hate to interrupt, but I had George Carlin's Toledo window box on 8-track tape.
nice. God, he tried that.
No, but
That
keep
was
going. I'm sorry. I just when you
no,
mentioned
that's all
about
right. That was just 8 track was just I no man like my friends' sisters they're older than us. They had like the original like Led Zeppelin 3 on
yeah,
8 track.
yeah. I
They
didn't.
used to
I'm sorry.
he used to
So Eddie
sneak into the
Murphy.
room. I was
Yeah,
like,
the middle of the song it would click.
I never knew how many songs were on that goddamn album because it was like
All right. Enough about.
okay, there we go. See, I told you I do improv. Can't help it.
Okay.
So
So
just there's
besides
all
Eddie
of
Murphy, besides
Eddie
Eddie Murphy,
Murphy, Howie Mandel, and of
I love
course just
Howie.
hire just all the guys from that area. Even I don't know if I should say it or not, but Andrew Dice Clay. I mean,
Sure.
whether you think or not, like you like him or don't, but back then it was just like, oh, what is this? And
Yeah.
it was just like that HBO special that came out on New Year's Eve, and we're all like jazzed for it because it was such a production for everything back then, the
Okay.
comedy, and we were just
What about comedians now, Pete? Are there any comedians now you really like?
I mean, I
If
don't
you don't,
listen
it's
to a
fine.
lot.
I don't have a lot of
I
comedians
know
I
it's
like
just
these days.
yeah, I mean, I don't listen much anymore because I'm
Okay.
just when I'm not doing it, I kind of turn off. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of the
Okay.
guys in my comedy WhatsApp group, they're always talking about different ones, and I'll listen to something here and there. I'm like, oh, that's good,
Yeah.
but they're like, you should listen to the podcast. I'm like, I don't have enough time because there's like
Yeah.
20
No, I
podcasts.
appreciate you doing it. You know what? I
Yeah.
screwed up, and let me go back because I have, believe it or not, I have a whole sheet of stuff.
Okay.
You recently had a birthday. Happy belated birthday. Is that right?
Thank you. Yes. No, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a few days ago, and believe it or not, it's the second thing on the list. But you got me all wound up, and you started off with got me going. Um, Besides doing comedy and improv, you're a teacher. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So I
And
teach at a
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I teach English and classroom teacher at an elementary school. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring it up is because I had another teacher on
Okay.
6 or 8 months ago, and she was talking about how much material she gets from the kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
Do you get some or no?
not too much. I have general things about teaching in general,
Oh
but
no,
I
she meant like the kids would say stuff to her. Like one little
right.
girl said something about when that boy comes around, I vibrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And she had to sit there with a straight face and okay, okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever have
I
that? Do you ever have kids say some stuff to you or
well, they'll say like really weird stuff, but I've always found that when it comes time to try and translate that into a joke or a bit, you
okay.
have to do too much background to tell the people why it's funny. So, I mean, there's some things I might be
Okay.
able to bring up, but
Well,
most of it's
I
about,
think everybody has their own style, and
yeah,
except for
yeah.
me, I have no style. I have doggy style.
Well, that's a good style.
Uh, Being in Hong Kong, and this may be, and you don't have to even answer it if you don't want, but again, I've had, like I just did one the other day with someone from Singapore. I've got another one coming up.
Okay.
Being in Hong Kong, do you have to be careful with
Uh,
stuff that you do?
no, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
I
lot
just
of,
saw something. I don't want to get serious because it's a comedy show.
that's
I
okay,
just saw something the other day about Hong Kong, and
yeah.
yeah, some stuff come up about. But yeah, that made me wonder. Like, I bet you don't do.
Not too much political stuff, no.
No.
Yeah.
Would
I
you?
mean,
Would
we'll
you?
still talk about things. I mean, the
Okay.
stupidity of some of the agencies and departments and just, some of the dumb things people do in general here. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
still make fun of that. But yeah, there's some things you just don't, but if you go to like Bangkok, go to Thailand, there's things you don't say there. You go to, Myanmar. There's things you don't. So everywhere you go, you got to be kind of
Okay.
careful.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to be serious. I was wondered because and we'll what, I'll move ahead.
Yeah,
You
it's okay.
mentioned and how I got in touch with you was Igorlito,
Right? Yeah.
who's a great comedian. He's from the Ukraine. And the irony of that is, I don't know if you know this, Igorlito actually was in my neck of the woods. He was up in Pennsylvania growing up
You
and
know
ended
what?
up in
He
the
mentioned that he
Ukraine.
went to Penn, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he ended up in the Ukraine, but he was talking about where he does whatever he wants to do.
Right. That's because no one can understand his accent. No kidding. I love him. He knows I'm kidding.
No, I had him on. He's wonderful. He's wonderful.
He's a nice.
I want to switch, and I hope you don't mind. I don't know if you can even do it, but I got to admit, it was one of my favorite bits. I watched a lot of stuff this morning trying to get up to speed with you and your comedy. And I love how
Okay.
you work the crowd. I love your crowd work where you mess with people. But
Thank
one of
you.
my favorite bits was about a Christmas song.
Which one? Is it the
Uh,
walk-in?
yeah, do you mind doing a little of that because I thought that was just great.
Okay, I don't mind it because you'd be surprised how many people here don't know Christopher Walken. Back home, we just take it for granted. But here, if I do some stuff about Walken, I've done him in shows, and people are just like, "Oh, like you do not know who he is," and they don't. They're just like, "Who? No, I don't know," and maybe, but no. So
I you had me going there. I was waiting for you to go into the bit, and you were already doing it.
it's a subtle thing. It's because what I was reading about with the way he does it, because when he was growing up in Queens, he grew up near Astoria, and I guess a lot of people there didn't speak English as a native language, so they would have to pause when they were thinking of what the word was coming up. So yeah, that's all.
Oh, you do it fantastic. You do it fantastic.
But
Um,
actually, you mentioned Christmas. How is it now back in the U.S.? Are people fucking decorating already or soon?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they lose their minds out here. Like honestly, I kid you not, they're probably decorating for Christmas in Philippines already.
Really?
No joke, no joke. Yeah. And then
Okay.
last year, September, October, they were already in the Starbucks and IKEA's here. Christmas stuff already up.
Well, I
Is it
used to
like that?
work. I got fired from my job at Lowe's. That's how your comedy minute started.
Yeah,
And
I saw you mention that. Yeah.
and I'm telling you the truth. Hell, I think by July or August we were we were setting Christmas stuff.
Jeez, I know it's just crazy. But
Yeah.
now now it gives me a chance to do my bits more, so I can do more of my songs.
Yeah, and I think the reason I loved it was not just that you were doing Christopher Walken, but you were really pissed off. I think it was it Winter Wonderland?
Yeah, yeah.
It pisses you off that that's a
Hey,
Christmas
yeah.
song.
It is. It's not a Christmas song. It's a winter song. It just
Yeah.
seems like a fucking cutoff. You're not allowed to sing it after Christmas. Fuck you.
I
It's
think we should contact the Christmas people and try and get it removed.
yeah. I don't know who's in charge of that now.
I'm gonna tell them Pete Grella and I are starting a movement. We want that fucking song removed from.
That should be because what do they do in Australia? It's like winter time now. They should be able to sing it. We should be allowed to sing it any time of the year, right? We get a lot of Australians that come to our shows here in Hong Kong.
People in Arizona probably can't relate.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry. Right now. I'm not getting enough oxygen right now. Um, a favorite show that you've done,
Uh huh.
and then of course
Oh man,
I'm going to follow it up, Pete, with your least
the
favorite
worst.
show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So do your
Oh,
favorite
favorite?
show.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's been so many, especially with improv. But we've done a lot of. No, we've done a lot of
No,
festivals.
one of my favorite guests, Stacy Pressman, said so many. There's so
But
many fabulous shows I've done.
it's just like a like magic to the improv, I guess. For stand up, I mean, I won the 2021 Hong Kong International Comedy.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. So
Tell the
that was
people
a
about that, Pete. Tell the people because that's on your YouTube page.
yeah. That was like I said, Jamie Gong from Takeout Comedy. He's been running this for God, man, 15, 16 years, and then it got pretty big for a while before COVID. When COVID came, things just
Yeah,
dropped. I
sure.
mean, he would have people coming in from all over the world. I mean, guys from and ladies from U.S. are flying in, and he brings over professionals,
Yeah,
just almost every month, and so just to do this, it used to be a big prize, and people would get um, guaranteed spots at like 3, 4 major clubs in the U.S., like in New York and in L.A., and it was just a big big thing. And then when I won it,
and
it was
you
like
won just again an apology. It was 2021 that plaque you just held up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was great
So
stuff. It was great stuff.
I mean,
You're a very funny guy, Pete.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So that was your favorite show.
It was probably one of them. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Worst
hey, I tell
was
you what, Pete,
oh,
I like you. And because you know
thank you.
Igorlito, go ahead and do another one. Do another one or two of your favorites. I'm going to let you do two or three favorites.
Wow, thank you. That's nice.
I'm in a good mood today, Pete. I don't know.
We did a show last summer over at the waterfront in Hong Kong. They have this Ferris wheel, and the thing is, you think, oh yeah, like how many cities they have these big Ferris wheels?
Right.
Like the one here, it's like normal size.
Okay.
It's like why would you go on this thing, right? It's a Ferris wheel, and around it there's like 70-story buildings that have free observatories up top. So why the fuck would you pay to go in this little children's ride? But they do anyway. They have this big thing every year, AIA festival thing, and they usually show movies out here. But we were doing some comedy shows. So
Okay.
we did a show last summer, one of them, and it was like about 400 people there, all just out there out on the lawn and chairs. And normally, uh, logic or common sense would tell you you just stay on the stage area and don't bother trying to do crowd work. But
Not you.
I don't have a lot of common sense or logic. So I just I just went out and started walking into the crowd with my wireless mic like it was on Oprah or something, and just doing crowd work and just but it was just fun, and then people weren't expecting it. So yeah, and then you're outside, and it's just that was fun. That was,
One of your
and
favorite
then
shows.
the energy of that. There's so many people.
Your crowd work is amazing.
That's from the improv and teaching. So
Yeah.
I think they're all
No,
cyclical. Yeah,
that's
I really
wonderful.
do.
Yeah, I noticed that in the sets I watched today on YouTube that in other words, you start and then before you know it, you're out in the crowd and you're going after people.
Yeah, sometimes the crowds, especially here, like I don't want to say attacked. That's the wrong word, but they have to be engaged because a lot of the people that come to the shows they're maybe not familiar with comedy, or maybe have only seen it on TV, so they don't realize that they're not watching it on a screen. It's live, interact.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's almost go right at them and just, but
Yeah.
that's what they like. Yeah.
Okay. I gave you two.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
now.
The worst. Yeah.
Hey,
All right.
if you haven't
Yeah.
figured it
Yeah.
out, I laugh at the
Yeah.
wrong shit. I laugh
No,
at
that's fine. There is no wrong stuff. There's just
I
stuff
just
to laugh.
I love a train wreck. I love a
Good, because
train wreck.
when I do my comedy minute, it's an old story about something I
Oh no,
saw.
no,
But you'll love that.
don't give up your comedy
No, no,
minute for
no, no,
this.
that's fine. If you like
Okay.
train wrecks, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So,
But
but
this is
this
not
one
your
was
comedy
different.
minute, is it?
Not yet. No, 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 no.
Okay,
But
all right, all right.
this one literally. It's funny you say train wreck because this was, man, like 14 years ago, 13 years. I was still early doing comedy, and our improv team was People's Liberation Improv, and we were invited to do a set at this. mini, I don't know, variety show thing. But it was at this like pretentious, swanky kind of club that had like a mini Shark Tank in there, and everyone was just really douchey. And so we were invited to come in and do this. And do you know Tom Cotter? Tom Cotter has been here quite a bit, and he was there to do shows at Takeout. So they said, "Oh yeah, bring the comedian along as well." And so Tom comes with our group. We show up, and they're not even close to being ready for us. It's like an hour, hour and a half behind schedule. And we're looking around like this is not our crowd. And no, everyone's just there treating it like a big cocktail party. And Tom looked at this, and being the consummate professional he is, he literally said to us, "All right, folks," to us, he's like, "This is going to be a train wreck. So let's just do our stuff, take our hits, and then walk away with the experience." And it was. I mean, just to give you an idea of how douchey this was, there was this guy with this band, and he was playing the didgeridoo, and that's awesome, right? That
I know,
Australian like
believe it or
long.
not,
I,
I've seen a didgeridoo. I've had
I,
someone on that does it. Him and his girlfriend.
it's amazing, and it's a powerful instrument. And he was with a band. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. He's going to integrate the didgeridoo with some music or rock and everything. But it wasn't. It was just like the band would be playing like Sweet Home Alabama, and he's just going, "What the fuck is going on?" So this is what we had to follow. It was a train wreck. We did our stuff, tried to get suggestions, and no one's giving us suggestions. The MCs are kind of heckling us, they're heckling the other Tom, and it's like, what the, that was the absolute worst.
So 15 years you've been there,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, 18 in Hong
do
Kong,
you yeah, no, in Hong Kong, but do you
yeah.
envision being there for the rest of your life, or would you like to, like, in other words, we mentioned Igorlito, and
Yeah,
Igorlito said that one day he'd like to come back to the United States.
right. Um, I think eventually I'd like to get to the point where when I retire, we can kind of just bounce around a little bit,
Okay.
like live some time in U.S., maybe here a little bit, or
Okay.
wherever we feel like going for a bit.
Right.
I don't foresee really retiring here. It's too expensive.
Okay. Um, do you have a favorite bit? Okay, in 14 years, be it improv or, in other words, like I mentioned the Christmas song, but you also do a bit about getting having a problem at a bar.
That's just life. Um,
You got cut
uh,
off. You got cut off.
yeah, yeah. I haven't done that in a while. I
Hey,
guess one of the
hey,
ones
my crack staff finds this stuff, and we just go with it.
digging up those old memories.
Well,
Yeah.
Pete,
Um,
this is your comedy minute, so you can do whatever you want. You can do or say whatever you want. I told you that, when we contacted one
right.
another.
Now, usually the one I do about the Empire State Building,
The
when I talk
Umpire
about,
State Building.
yeah, when I talk about tones using, I did it in my Gotham video.
Okay.
And so it's talking about, because the language here and most languages around Asia are tonal. So
Okay.
how you say it means something completely different. So, and then I just equated that to um, someone mispronouncing Empire State Building. And that would be like someone back home having no idea if they called it Umpire State Building. So, but there's a bit of an act out with it and the
Okay.
accents. But what I like about it is it's relatable to so many people. I mean, I did it in New York where we don't use tonal languages, but a brief explanation, people got it. But around here, when I do it, I mean, any city I've done it in around Asia, afterwards, I'll always get expats come up to me going, same thing happened to me here. They didn't understand my tones, or I said this, and the people just looked at me with a blank look. So then it's it's something that people connect with. So I do like that one a lot.
Do you find that, Pete, there in Hong
Uh-huh.
Kong? Um, Again, it's hard for me because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. You've been there 15 years. Do you have crowds that are don't speak English?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've
Okay.
had some that, I mean, actually, a lot of the crowds we get, English is not their first language. I mean, we'll get a
Okay.
lot of people that are, Hong Kong or we used to do some shows up in China, up in Shenzhen, and there'd be like five people that spoke any English, and like three of them were Russian, one was British, and one was American. It's like, honestly, it's
What is that like, Pete? What is that like to, in other words, I'm
it
just trying to draw a mental image of I'm up there and you're doing a joke and you're just looking out and th-
You did. That's when the crowd work comes in. That's when a lot of physical and silly actions, facial expressions, and enough
okay.
that people can kind of get what you're saying.
Kind of get what you're saying. But that ties into a question. Let me ask:
Yeah.
do you enjoy doing improv more or stand up more?
Oh, I get that one all the time. It's which
Do you?
kid do
I'm
you like
sorry.
best?
Just
That's
forget it.
okay.
Just forget it.
No,
Don't
no,
answer.
no. No, actually, I guess because I do a lot of improv things in my stand up. So
Right,
that's a
right,
nice happy. You know. So I guess in some ways, whereas improv feels more liberating because there's no set script, you
right.
are very dependent on the audience. Whereas with stand up, if the improv stuff's not working, I still have material.
Okay,
So maybe my stand up, but with my improv elements, it's like the nice
right.
hybrid, so to speak. Yeah.
I noticed on Instagram, and I
Mhm.
will again include all the links
Oh,
to
thank you.
your Instagram, your YouTube. I believe you have a Facebook page.
Right. Yeah.
Do you do TikTok?
We don't. I don't think we even have it here.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that because that was one of the questions I had, and then we'll get to your comedy minute. But um, I noticed on Instagram you had a clip that you did a Fourth of July clip. Do you remember doing that?
The Fourth of July clip was it? Oh, was it the Buford
Y-
Pits?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that was from we had a during COVID. We had a group of us. My friend Kurt, yeah, actually, he lives in Bangkok now. He was in Shanghai then. We had set up this kind of a sketch improv troupe.
Right,
So think of it like a Saturday Night Live, where we would all get together and we'd meet by ourselves. We'd do some improv games, and then he would randomly assign us into breakout rooms, and we would
yeah,
take what we've done from the improv and we'd come up with a script. So I guess that's what like what Second City does and some of the other big improv teams back in US. And then we'd have a show once a month where we'd do a cold open. So we would like, do a live sketch on Zoom, and then we would do some improv games. And then while we were doing that, we would show our pre-recorded sketches while we were in breakout rooms making up sketches based on the improv we just did.
right.
And that was one of the improv. No, I'm sorry, that was one of the sketches I used to do because I had a
Well, that's what I
couple of
was going to
them.
ask. That was kind of where I was going with it. Do you would you envision yourself doing more sketch stuff like Instagram and because there's two parts there now. You say you don't have TikTok over there?
No,
Wow. It's huge here. Huge.
yeah, yeah. No, here
Well,
it's
and Igralito mentioned that something about YouTube as well. That in other
well,
words, to now you have a YouTube channel, and it seems like you don't have any problem. But Igralito mentioned that he couldn't get certain things up. I've had other comedians on that their stuff is locked up and they can't get it up, or it's like YouTube is only there in that area or something. They can only see it in that area.
it's weird. No, I mean here. YouTube, not a problem. Up in mainland China, yeah,
Yeah.
not so much. But here in Hong Kong, that's fine. But TikTok is outright no, no. I mean, a lot of people here, they'll have to get their TikTok video, and then you'll see them put it on an Instagram reel. So you'll see the TikTok logo, but they're taking their TikTok video and making it into an Instagram reel.
Okay. Do you plan
Yeah.
on doing more of that?
I keep planning it. I do
Yeah,
want to get
just
more.
getting two
Yeah,
minutes to do it, right?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I usually record all of my sets,
Yeah.
and there's usually like maybe one crowd work bit that I enjoyed from it. So I really should just, you know, do that.
I'm just asking, I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
no, yeah. No,
It's
I think
yeah,
that's the way
believe
to
me,
go.
Pete, you're preaching the converted. Ever since I started this thing, it seems like I've been going. People laugh at me, but I go from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. I'm editing out. Like
Well,
tonight, I have one to edit. I got up this morning to edit the girl that went on at noon. I don't have
yeah.
2 minutes to stop.
No, it's not. I mean, one of my other friends back in Bangkok, he and I used to do this spoof called Truthy Info. We were like two conspiracy theorists,
Uh,
and we wound up doing maybe 35 or 40 episodes. But yeah,
uh,
just the time to, I mean, it never been anywhere from 7 to 20 minutes, but
yeah.
just the time to edit that and put in the, intro, outro, credits. It's just, yeah.
Well, thank God I don't do all that. I just record them and put them up.
There you go.
Well, Pete, look, we're going to run out of time, so I want to make sure that you mention anything you want to tell the people. Obviously, if you go to Hong Kong, go see Pete Grella.
Yeah, please.
But anything
And
else? I mean, again, I'll put all the links to all your stuff.
okay, yeah. I mean, just usually I'll keep my upcoming shows posted on my calendar, and
Yeah,
then
you have a
also have
website, your own website.
yep. Every Thursday I've been doing improv through backstage comedy at Lips Cocktail and Lounge Theater. It's a nice swanky little hotel bar. It's a
Okay.
really cool room. So that's
I'll
every
I'll
Thursday.
I'll mention it when I put up the interview. I'll mention anything that you mention, I'll put it up.
And then in October, we'll be having our 14th annual Hong Kong Improv Festival.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Well, this will definitely get up before October. I'm a couple weeks behind, but all right. Well, you know what time it is.
Do. All
Pete
right, here we
Grella.
go.
Pete Grella, your comedy minute. Go ahead.
Okay, now I got to set this up. You know what a power pole is? Is everyone familiar with the power pole? That's like that in an arena or the mud, and like the trucks, they have to pull like this big heavy weight as far as they can. Have you ever
Okay.
seen
Yeah,
any
yeah,
of
yeah. Okay. Power pool. Yeah, I got you.
that? Was pretty big, especially when I was growing up in like 70s, 80s. So
Yeah.
my friend and I went to one once, and they had a power pole polar bear. There was the mascot, guy dressed in a polar bear costume in Connecticut and throwing out frisbees at a power pole competition. What the fuck was he doing as a polar bear? Now they're like, make noise, and he'll throw frisbees toward you. And there was like this annoying kid who was probably like 8 or 9, right near us, and he's and then the power pole polar bear threw a frisbee near him, and it landed on the ground. I see it, and I see the kid diving for it, and this dude, I don't know, he's like in his 30s. He just like stepped on it, just bam, stepped on the frisbee, and the kid looks up at him. The guy looks down. And he just slowly picks up the frisbee and walks away with it. I'm like, this is magic. I have to watch this guy. This is something magical is going to happen. And sure enough, like 10 minutes later, during one of the intermissions, I see the guy out of the corner of my eye, and he stands up and he just throws the frisbee, and he just kind of lets his arms out like this, and just guides it, and then he just sits down, and I watch it, and it goes across the little like coliseum, and cuts the corner, and it heads right toward this guy, and I swear to God, at the last second, the thing it turned 90 degrees. It went from horizontal to vertical, and it picked up speed, and it caught the guy right in the junk. Right, so it just like it zoned in and caught him right in the nuts. The guy was talking with his kids, right? He's there with his family. So all of a sudden, it just bam hits him, and you could see it hit him because he doubled over in pain, like
Right.
a champ. Picks it up, gives it to his kids, and he's squirming. I'm standing up, pointing and laughing my ass off because it was the funniest thing I ever saw.
Right.
Tears are pouring out, and the guy just kept looking over at me, and he must have thought that I did it. And
Yeah.
but the other hour and a half of that show, I just sat there, just pointing at him, laughing in tears because it was the most amazing thing I ever saw in my life.
All right.
I don't. All right, yeah.
I'll take it. That's a great comedy minute, man. People always get
Okay.
hung up, but that's great. All right. Well, look, let me stop the recording. We're going to run out of time. Let me stop the recording so we can chat for a minute off the air.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you for being here, Pete.